Hello, this is Fabio M. Silva for CG Touch Plus. Okay, so let's proceed. Before we jump into Mental Ray, I'd like to do some additional steps on how to control the bump using a system based on gradient ramp material. The gradient ramp map will give you a lot of flexibility, especially if you are going to animate the eyes. It can be used for several things, such as pupil dilatation or making the eye bloodshot over time. This will prove to be very useful not only for controlling bump, but other materials as well, such as specular and subsurface scattering map. Also, I will create some proper lighting for this in Scanline before we leave for good to Mental Ray. So that said, let's begin. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is to make a render of this. This is the eye as we left off. Not very exciting yet. First thing I'm going to do is to enable my environment map that I created. It's a simple gradient with some nice choice of colors that I chose. And right away we will see that the eye looks more beautiful. The eyes certainly get a lot more from the environment they are in rather than a lonely black render. The first thing to do is to get that a little more out of the band map, and you will see these will be very useful for your future maps, not only for the eyes but for pretty much everything else. So I don't know if you remember, but early on we created this on day one. We created this gradient ramp material, and it will be useful now because I'm going to pick my eye and I'm going to use this material to control the intensity of the bump map on this particular texture. Well, we did create our bump map in Photoshop, so this would be an alternative way to do this. Well, actually, this is extremely useful because, well, we have a lot of power in Photoshop, that's true. But in Photoshop, you cannot animate the texture, and with this we can. It's like, I don't know if you are familiar with morph targets, but I guess you could call this morphing a texture into other, if that makes sense. So I'm going to pick this up, and I'm going to use this for the bump, to control the bump. So I'm going to choose copy. If you are for some reason lost, don't forget check the OSD hotkey here. Hope you can manage with it. And now I'm going to paste this here as a copy, and I'm going to paste my as a copy also my gradient ramp here. You will see some changes in the render. As you can see, there's this black halo around the eye. That's because my Max is for some reason kind of slow. I'm not sure why. Okay, but anyway, this is white, this is darker, so it gets carved in. And you're using this as bump map now, so it makes sense. So we cannot use the gradient ramp directly into bump. So that's one thing you have to remember, because if you do, you will get that. So let's cut this. Okay, so we will use the the gradient ramp here to control our bump. I'm going to choose mix map, and I'm going to paste my gradient ramp here. So basically what this does is use this map here, the gradient ramp, in this case our gradient ramp here, to control whether it will use channel 1 or channel 2, or color 1, color 2. So we can get a really lot of amount of power from this. First thing off I'm going to do is to check this invert color here that I had already checked before. I was not recording at the time, I was testing. So you will get something like this. So our colors inverted. And I'm going to choose, so where this is black, it's going to assign color number 1, and where it is white or gray, it's going to assign color number 2. Okay, so this by itself won't make much difference, but as you will see in a minute, for some reason my renders are really slow today. But if I had a map, I'm going to add a noise, and I'm going to, let me check it out. Okay, I'm going to reduce my noise size, and I'm going to choose turbulence, and I think we'll have a very interesting pattern here. Let's check it out. Yeah, see? It's really interesting. Very, very interesting, if I'm allowed to say so. I don't know if you noticed, but in the iris you can still see some bump, because the iris here, getting some really weird colors here for some reason. I think it's a bug. Okay, but I can get some colors here. Oh, actually it's not a bug, sorry. It's actually, yeah, it's actually the correct thing. So I'm going to change this to gray, so we understand better. Because this doesn't really read, well, it reads color but not here. We just copy to make sure the gray is the same kind of gray. Okay, so you see where it is black, it will use color number 1, and we get this really interesting effect. And where it is white, it won't use, and where it is gray, it will use it, but just a little bit. So very fast you saw that we can assign a different bump map here. Just to emphasize this a little bit more, I'm going to use cellular and the other, and let's check it out. Well, you can see it here, but faintly, I guess. Well, anyway, I hope I have brought my point across. So what's cool about this? The cool about this is that you can animate this. For example, imagine your eye, and you can use colors, even colors with this. So imagine your eye was perfectly alright. I'm going to change this a little bit for a minute. Delete. Alright. Okay. Actually, I'm going to go for all white. All white. So all white means color number 2. Well, actually color number 1. Oh yes, because I've inverted it. Okay. Exactly. Okay, so like I said, you can animate this. So if you, sorry for a minute, I'm going to click Auto key, and I'm going to choose white, and in frame 100 I'm going to choose black. And just for a minute, let me check if you can see the difference. Yes. I scroll back, and you have an animated texturing change over time. It's very, very interesting. For example, you can use this animated gradient ramp to make changes over time. You can make the eye get more bloodshot, and you can get the veins to pop out more. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to choose cut. I'm going to add a mix map. I'm going to choose paste and choose paste again. And on this one, I will change the colors a bit here. I'll change the red basically, and I'm going to push these really high. Okay, really bloodshot high. And I'm going to copy my gradient ramp here to the mix amount. You can see the changes in the viewport, but if I render, you will see that the eye is changing. And if I get to 100, it gets less and less red. You can use this in conjunction with this for turbulence. Okay, so as this goes over time, it gets more bump, and actually it should be more red. Makes more sense. Let me swap the colors. Exactly. Okay, so I hope this has been useful to you, or I mean, I hope you have understand what this means. It's really, actually my colors are a bit crazy. I just pressed Control L to, oops, okay. This is extremely useful for animation.